So I've been following this Lindsay Clancy trial, and I am so glad that we're having a discussion about mental health when it comes to the legal system. However, I'm not sure how this is going to go and if people are ready to have complexities and nuances, still hold somebody accountable, but also address the mental health issues. Um, it's unfortunate because if this goes away where she's found not guilty of intentionally maliciously harming or unaliving her children, um if she's found guilty, it's like she's a big bad wolf, lock her away, end the story. But to me, those conversation stoppers when we decide to say this person's guilty of something, or hold them accountable for the outcomes of their actions, sometimes we're missing like certain complexities, nuances that can help us like stop the patterns. A lot of times people think, oh, lock them up, it's gonna stop the pattern, but it's really not. Because a lot of times people don't want to, like, I don't know if it's something to do with duality or like, this understanding of good and evil. But a lot of times people like want to have a villain and like a victim and a victimizer, or a superhero and a villain and a victim and all this, those type of black and white type of thinkings, because it helps us get to the point, hold somebody accountable, and keep moving on and believing that we're creating a safer society by doing that. However, it's just not worth it. At the end of the day, most people that come out of jail go right back. And how the hell would jail, and the people that come out of jail and say it works, is because of what? Isolation? Because of some type of support in there? Or because you just decided you got the space and the time to be able to think about what you did and decide to make change. So at the end of the day, you don't have to go to jail for that. So, but how many facilities are actually here to really help? And for this lady, if she found not guilty, she went to many mental health facilities, just trying to get help. So if somebody has a thought like that and they're trying to get help and a system fails them, do they deserve to be locked up for life and just called the monster? Or should we address the mental health issues? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of difficult because I do understand different perceptions, right? I get it. And sometimes my way of thinking makes people think like, oh, a person shouldn't be held accountable for a negative impact on society or a person. And that's just not true. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of things so that we don't continuously repeating patterns. And to me, the system don't work. The justice system don't work. It doesn't address the mental health issues. It doesn't address human nature. And is that the system's responsibility? No, but when it perpetuates bullshit, it's the responsibility. I just see the flaws in the system. So I'm not saying locking people up isn't a good thing, but I'm just saying that I feel like the system focuses more on punishment and gain. And I think a better way is to focus more on restoration. Yeah, helping people. Because much of it is mental health issues. It's distortion from reality, really. This is a complex case. And I heard some people are trying to paint the narrative that, her husband was cheating, she's bitter, and she decided to kill the kids to get back at her husband. That's an avenue, but baby, why don't you just give them to the husband, or do like most people do and just take them and co-parent, or, give them the best life that you can give. But to kill the kids, like, that's very unique. And I don't see no evidence pointing to issues. They're saying because she has control issues. Okay, it's a perspective. But my thing is, with the justice system, we don't really get to hear from her, because if she says something that somebody don't understand, it goes a certain way. And not only that, when it comes to, I wonder who they're going to bring up when it comes to mental health. Because if I'm a juror, first of all, I'm looking at this right now from the outside looking in. So I have my opinion based on my own understanding. But if I'm a juror, a lot of times they want you to kind of put certain things out the door and listen to what they're saying as the story, as they, reveal the story of what happened. So sometimes if you're not like teaching them about and reminding them about mental health, and I know they are, but I'm saying from a mental health professional. And let's hear the doctors. What are y'all thinking? And I mean, I'm not gonna hold you. I just thought maybe she felt herself because, but then it's like, at the end of the day, if you have thoughts, maybe you're not thinking. And I never had postpartum psychosis, maybe depression, but if you have thoughts of harming yourself or harming somebody else, some people are able to say, you know what, I need to go somewhere. I don't know what makes them decide to go and check into a spot where they can make sure that they're safe, right? If they know they're a harm to themselves, that means they have did something that they know that they can go further and they want to have external people to help them stop, right? But I don't think postpartum seems to me like something that just comes on. It's not a depression that you're dealing with that you can identify like right then and there. So it's like, oh, I had this weird thought about killing my kids. That's crazy as fuck. If I don't know about psychosis, if I don't know about certain things, and I'm just like, look, help me, and this is what's going on, how can I identify that, So you might feel like you can trust yourself. I'm not going to do that. And then you do it. I don't know, baby. You didn't have no agency or autonomy over yourself at all. What is your reasoning? You don't have no reasoning for doing that. I feel like a piece of hair is on my lip. So I want to understand the thought process of the person, not of what the people want to paint. Can I ask you some real questions? But no, because the threat of going to prison is on the line. So you got to just go along with the system and let them give you your fate. When it comes to mental health, not behavioral health, so I think that's what people are experiencing when they go into, prison or jail. They may experience like, I'm changing my behavior. However, when it comes to mental health, it's not about, you can't isolate somebody and expect them to change their mental health. There's certain steps that has to be done to help somebody get out of a certain program. So at the end of the day, I can understand, well, don't help the person, they could fall back into another program. Oh, I can get that too. So it's like, when I'm thinking about community and contributing to building a healthier society, I just try to think about all perspectives, all sides of stories to have a healthier, like a better, to basically have like a more well-informed, to basically have like a more well-informed solution. I just feel like it's intellectually lazy if you're not able to critically think, and that just pisses me off. So yes, I want to hear about everything. Yes, I want to go deeper. Yes, I'm not going to come to a conclusion so soon. I'm not going to base my logic off of emotions. I'm not I want to know more and more and more, different perspective, different sides of the story, so I could be able to have a well-informed way of making a decision. You know what I'm saying? So, and my goal in studying this type of stuff is, how do we create a better society? How do we create better humans psychologically? So, yeah.